Here we go. Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce, how you doing?
Hey, David, how are you doing tonight?
I got post-nasal drip from a cold, so
Still
coughing
fighting
a
it, eh?
lot. Coughing a lot. Yeah, my wife had it for like 2 or 3 months after she had
Wow.
COVID. She had the post-nasal drip.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is just a cold, but it's hanging on there. So hopefully I can get through this. We'll see. Bruce, talking about getting through things. That game was a frustrating game. A very, very frustrating game. The Oilers lost 8-6 to the Avs. Tonight it's our 2 good things, 2 bad things, and 2 numbers. And because there was lots of bad, we'll go with 2 good things each. Let's start off with some good things, though, Bruce. What is your good thing?
Yeah, good thing. 8-6 loss. Yeah. My good thing is we got them right where we want them. Just like last series. The Oilers made all the mistakes, enough mistakes to lose 4 games. They only lost 1 game. They're going to figure everything out from the mistakes they made in this game and go ahead and start winning thereafter. In all seriousness, I'll give credit for a good pushback and somehow making a game out of that mess, and having actually a couple of chances to tie it up in the last minute. But ultimately, it was one of those games that was like Game 1 in Calgary in a lot of respects. One that got away, one in which they scored way more goals than you normally would need to win a hockey game, but it wasn't enough because they just leaked way too much against at the other end. And so anyway, my good thing is they fought back, made a game of it, and they only lost 1 game out of it. So.
Alrighty. Bruce, my good thing will be the 4th line.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan, Archibald, and Cassian.
Mm-hmm.
They scored a great goal in the 3rd period, and that was the goal that made it 7-5, I think, at that point.
Yeah.
So it actually got the Oilers back into the game, and Cassian was winning all kinds of battles. I mean, I think when the score was, I'm just going to go back earlier in the game for a second. I think the score was 4-3, and Cassian had a breakaway. And if he had scored, or maybe it was 3-3, anyway, the Oilers were 1 goal down.
Yeah.
And if he had scored on that goal, the breakaway goal, tie game, even after all the bad that had happened to the Oilers, they could have been back in the game right then, of course. Zach Cassian scores probably on about 1 in 5 breakaways, so he didn't score there. And
the average just shoot the puck,
Yeah, he seems to do
puck.
best.
He loves the deke. He likes to think of himself as a high-skilled finesse player when he gets chances, and he isn't.
He seems to do best on the breakaways when he does shoot. That's my memory of him scoring on the breakaways.
Power forward, power shot on it.
Anyway, this was his best game in the playoffs. I thought Cassian's best game.
Mm-hmm.
6 hits to lead the team, I see. And he was running.
It was actually Fogle that had the 6 hits. Cassian had 4 of them.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Right above them, the two are together.
There's something wrong with your sound right now, Bruce. It suddenly flipped out. It's a little bit staticky at my end. Hopefully, still is.
Let's try that.
Ooh.
Worse?
It's just unplug it, and plug it back in real quick.
How's that?
That's better. That fixed it.
Okay, good. Sorry.
Connection got loose. That's okay. All right.
Let's consider that another shift of the Oilers behind their own blue line tonight. That's kind of how it was going. Well, we cleared it up quicker than the Oilers did on 2 or 3 of those possessions. Man.
So on the Bouchard and Cassian and Ryan were just really cycling the puck well on the goal that they scored in the 3rd period. Mm-hmm. Cassian hitting and making smart plays. Keith made a couple good passes, and then Bouchard fired the puck and he took out an Avs player with his shot. I think it was Burakovsky. I don't know if he came
Yeah,
back in the game, but
he did.
he really hammered him, and he
He
was out of
missed a
the
couple
play.
of shifts.
He was out of the play on the goal, and
Mhm.
Cassian set up Ryan in the slot, and Ryan made just a fantastic shot, top shelf. Where Grandma keeps the cookies. So then that line came down the ice later in the game. I think the Oilers had made it 7-6, and Archibald almost tied the game. Came charging in there and on a deflected pass. I think the pass was from Cassian, if I'm not mistaken. He almost deflected the puck in the net, so almost tied it up. So that line was it had it going on the attack. Bruce, what is your first bad thing?
Yeah, bad thing. Tonight I got to single out the defending or lack thereof from Darnell Nurse, Oilers' #1 defenseman, who I thought had an absolutely brutal game behind his own blue line. Hard to hard to square how poor he was in this game. And we had him, I believe, for 11 errors on grade A shots against, and they were all sorts of things from, well, let's quickly go through them. On the second goal, he allowed a breakaway. Guy got in behind him to score. On the third goal, right at the killer goal that McCarr scored 9 seconds after Edmonton had tied it up, and Nurse just sort of coughed the puck up into the neutral zone, and then when McCarr came in onside apparently and fired a shot, and he allowed the shot and went right I think through his screen and right in the tie. It was a great shot by McCarr, but get in the shooting lane, or better still, don't just cough the puck up to them. Then on the power play that resulted from the failed challenge, this was a real double whammy. Cost Oilers 2 goals. Darnell was just very, very passive, allowing a pass right into the slot, and just kind of standing there and not even sort of contesting for the puck. I don't get it. So there was that one. So that was sort of 3 goals in a row where he was complicit. Allowed a pass for a scoring chance. Uh, let's keep going here. Allowed a pass for 2 scoring chances on that power play goal. Allowed a pass for another chance. Allowed yet another pass for a chance. Yet another pass. Like he was getting beat on passes because he was either not in position or his stick wasn't there. Or he didn't go to the didn't stick with his man. And I was extremely frustrated with his play. Like he was just it looked like a deer in the headlights for much of the game, and he just needs to be way, way, way better than that, or else he needs to sit so that someone healthy can go in and take his place. Because if that's the issue, then it's an issue because he was not able to compete at anywhere near the level he needs to compete for the Oilers to be successful tonight. That was just dreadful.
Yeah, Bruce, there was plays where normally he would go into the corner to fight for it or behind the net, and he would just stay
Mm-hmm.
in the slot. But then
And
he
then
would stay
not,
in the slot and not cover anybody.
yeah,
It was very, man, Bruce, it was an atrocious game by Darnell Nurse.
yeah,
He was eaten alive out
yeah,
there. He
yeah.
was not he was not in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And if it is injury, it must be injury. This is serious. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
I thought it was serious after game ones with the Flames too, and they bounced back. Draisaitl bounced back. He got healthier. Nurse doesn't seem to be getting healthier. I'd give him a 1 out of 10 in that game. It
I'd give him
was.
sorry, finish your thought.
Go ahead. No.
I'd give him a 2 just because he made one decent play that eventually resulted in an Edmonton goal. But in terms of the defending side of his game, maximum minus for that
Yeah.
because he didn't defend. Like it was just so poor, and yeah, like he was standing around out of position, and like you say, not either going to the boards and battling for the puck, nor covering off any passing lanes or opponents in the slot. He just, I don't know, he just seemed like a, say, deer in the headlights out there, and you expect more than that from your #1, not to mention highest paid defenseman. I mean, that guy's there to turn the game in your favor, and he did pretty much anything but that in this game.
Yeah, if you're playing on whatever his injury is, he's just got to read the game better. He's got to be smarter about it. So
Mm-hmm.
that didn't happen either. I mean, on McCarr's goal that was so controversial with
Mm-hmm.
the offside play, which I thought at the time was one of the worst calls I've ever seen in my life. Now that I've heard the explanation, I'm kind of just confused. I have no idea what's going on. Anyway, McCarr, Nurse started that off with an unnecessary turnover.
Yeah.
There was a like 10, 15 seconds left in the period, 20, and he throws it up to a guy who's covered.
Mm-hmm.
He gives Kane kind of a tough pass to handle,
A grenade.
a grenade, and like why do that? You don't have to make that play. No one's on you. You just have to kill out the period. Your team has somehow weathered a crappy first
Yeah.
period. You've been
Yeah.
stormed, and you miraculously have come back and tied the game. You're a veteran in this league. You need to
Yeah.
kill out the clock, and you make a
Yeah.
pass like that, and then you're
Yeah.
caught deep as Makar
Yeah.
rushes in. Like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, like this is a one. This game was a one. There was so many atrocious plays by Darnell Nurse.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's the worst game of his NHL career. It's one of the worst games we've seen an Oilers defenseman ever play, Bruce.
Defensively.
According to the way we rank
Mm-hmm.
players, the way we
Yeah.
break down the game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's 90% or 80% related to injury, but
Uh-huh.
they can't have him out there against the McKinnon line. First of all, that's on the coach. They tried that. Colorado controls the matchup to some extent in Colorado, but
Yeah.
if you have Nurse and Cece out there with McDavid, and they're going to match him with McKinnon, you got to take Nurse off. He can't handle McKinnon, and he got beat by McKinnon repeatedly in the game. So I don't know who they're going to put. They're going to have to try maybe Kulak and Barry.
Kulak.
Yeah, try Kulak in that spot and bump Nurse down. We've talked about this before, and they've still been able to win, but not because of Nurse. I don't think. Like he's hung in there in some games. It's time to make a move, I think, but we'll see what happens. Probably they won't do it. They'll stick with him there. But okay, that's my rant about Nurse. I was equally not happy and perplexed with his usage. Okay, my bad thing is McDavid's defense. He was Connor McDavid on the attack, 3 points, and made some great plays, scored a beautiful goal, made major contributions to 9 grade A shots. So on the attack, he was Connor McDavid, although he had a slow start to the game. First on defense, he has been great in the playoffs since starting game 6 against LA. He's taken up a notch.
No.
This game he regressed. He's against really tough opposition. Nathan McKinnon presents a problem unlike any player the Oilers have faced in the playoffs. He is an amazing hockey player. And he got the best of Connor McDavid tonight. He was the better of the two superstars tonight. So, I never thought I'd see that in these playoffs, but that's what I saw tonight. McKinnon dominated this game, not Connor McDavid.
How many grade A shots against did we count on?
McDavid made 5 major mistakes on grade A shots against. So the first one was McKinnon in the slot. The pass goes through Nurse, as it so often did, out of the corner. And McDavid wasn't on McKinnon, and he harpoons it on net. The second one was a very strange play. It was the goal that McKinnon scored on the break-in past Nurse. But McDavid was in the neutral zone. He was in the red light zone. Not covering anyone, not covering a passing lane. And he allowed I think it was Devon Taves to skid up the ice and make the pass unmolested. So he was being a cautious player there, but not an effective one. The third one was another goal against where he was covering a guy in front of the net who managed to put it in off his body, I think. That was a fairly tough play. And the next 2 were both slot shots, going through Nurse and McDavid not covering the guy in the slot. So 3 of those were slot shots that he should be covering off. And one of them was a neutral zone play where, it's a tough play, but you'd expect him to do better and be in forecheck, at least on Devon Taves. So, yeah, not McDavid's best game behind the blue line. But they need his A game.
Yeah, that's for sure.
All right, Bruce, your second bad thing.
Yeah, it's how quickly the Oilers gave back the goals that they got. And just the first 3 goals of the game, they scored to open the scoring, 5:04 the first. By 5:40 it was 1-1. Very next play, 1-1, and just no consolidation of the score. You mean ideally what you want is a full cycle of lines after you've scored, where you've sort of maintained it and sort of set a new game state. Well, they couldn't hold 1-0 for 40 seconds. Then at the end of the first period, they tied it, as you say, against the flow of play, and it looked like they were going to get away with it in the first period and come out of it 2-2, despite having a pretty horrific period. 9 seconds, 9 frickin' seconds when you got 23 to kill to get to the room. And we've already been through that goal a little bit. And yeah, I mean, we could name that call as the bad thing, and I'm still a little bit confused. It sure looked to me, and Jay Woodcroft said this in the post game. I mean, he had possession of the puck, he carried it over the line, he touched it again, and somehow they deemed that he'd shot it into himself 3 feet over the line, and all the visual evidence of our eyes was lying to us, and he didn't have it. And the other guy touched up, and it was all good. And then, of course, penalty and second goal. So then they make it 4-2 on the power play. Edmonton cuts the lead to 4-3, and this time it's like a minute and 39 seconds later, and it's 5-3. And again, I don't think Smith made one save after a Edmonton goal. The next shot went in, I think, 3 times in a row. And that was the only 3 Edmonton scored for Smith, and each one went back. So I'm not necessarily pointing the finger specifically at Smith. I'll leave that up to you, David. But I will say they needed a save in those situations, and they didn't get it. But they also didn't help themselves with some pretty shoddy defense. They just never had control of this game at any time. And they finally sort of took control of the territorial game in the third period. Well, by then it was like, what, 7-4? 7 goals. Oh, man. So I'll just leave it there, and I'll let you step in with your second bad thing.
It was a lot like the first Calgary game, and the same feeling afterwards of like confusion and disconsolation and upset. So maybe not as I was catastrophizing more after that game against Calgary.
Mm-hmm.
This Oilers team is irrepressible. They can come back. They just got to get it together. They got to figure out what's going on with Nurse and how to handle this. So Jay Woodcroft is a smart guy. He'll figure it out. Bruce, Mike Smith had faced 16 grade A shots, and he let in 6 of them. So, he was pummeled in the first period, and he kept the Oilers in until he didn't. And I thought the turning point for Smith was the McCarr goal, where I think he should have had it. I think it's definitely from a grade B shooting position. I don't think he was significantly screened by NHL goalie standards, and I think he should have had that shot. So that's one I think he should have had. And then there was, he had a bad rebound on some other plays, and there were some other ones where, he didn't make. McKinnon's goal was like in the second period where he got that pass. The Oilers' defense was horrific on that play. I don't know what Nugent Hopkins and Hyman were doing when the puck went around the horn to McKinnon and he went in and scored. But again, it's a good shooter, but it was an outside shot, and you just hope your goalie can make that save or simple as that.
That was a Rantanen goal, right?
Was that the wasn't it McKinnon?
Yeah, McKinnon passed it to Rantanen.
When you win the Stanley Cup, you do have the goalie making that kind of save. Now it's a different era. These shooters can really that puck. So, but I just get the sense here, like this was a pretty mediocre goaltending performance in the end. Like he did play well for a long stretch in the first. He held them in until he kind of collapsed. And really, there was so much bad on defense that I feel bad in a way singling him out. But he was a big part of the problem in the end. He didn't make that big save, so he's my second bad thing.
Yeah, well, 1-1, he made a few stops for sure. I don't know any of them were like dazzling saves, but they were getting good chances, and he was keeping them out. And And then all of a sudden it was like boom, boom, boom. They were all going in. You know, 4:50 left in the first, 15 seconds in the first, 19:29 in the second, 15:20, 13:40, and by then he's out of there. Well, by then he's given in 5 goals in what, 11 minutes or something.
Yeah.
You know,
He just kind of
11
fell
and a
apart.
half minutes. So here's the crazy thing out of that game. Mike Smith allowed 6 goals. Darcy Kemper led in 3. Pavel Francouz led in 3. Mikko Koskinen led in 1. I'll let you guess who is the losing goalie from that game.
Any thoughts of going to Koskinen, Bruce? They won't. I know they won't, but do you think they
Mhm.
should?
Well, I mean, in the Calgary game, when he also came in fairly early for Smith, and he just didn't get the job done either, Mikko. And I thought that time was a no-brainer just to go back to Smith.
Yeah.
And I think they will go back to Smith, but I don't think it's a no-brainer this time. Mikko was way better than Mike in this game.
Yeah, he was.
Way
He looked,
better.
I had a lot more confidence with him in that. I thought he's going to make
Hmm.
the saves. He's going to stop some of
Hmm.
these shots.
Yeah.
And Colorado started to, when Koskinen's on, he gets big in the net, and the other teams start to miss the net. And
Hmm.
I started to sense that a little bit in Colorado shooting on Koskinen, that they were thinking, we need the perfect shot to score on this guy, and they were missing the net because of it. So, yeah, I don't think they're going to do it, but it's certainly something that if they lose the next game,
Hmm.
maybe, depending on how Smith plays. But goalies are going to have bad games now and then. You can't expect any
Hmm.
goalie. Maybe Grant Fuhr and some of those playoff runs didn't have a bad game, but I might be just misremembering how it went. But
Had some bad goals against, I can tell that.
he he did. He did. I can think of one.
Hmm.
Uh, anyway, Smith, he was solid early on in the game. He's been great through the playoffs, so I'm sure they'll go back to him. Bruce, what is your number?
Yeah, my number is 0-3 and 8-2. And that's Oilers records in game one now. This is third straight series. They've dropped the first game, and they've gone 8 wins, 2 losses after those first 2 opening losses, meaning that neither one of them was a fatal. Obviously, they're still alive in the playoffs, so dropping the first game did not kill them in either series. And I think that's something they can hang their hat on, that uh, they've been here before. But it's strange. Like they've had uh, I think some pretty shot, like the last 2 games in particular. The first one, of course, was one big mistake by Mike Smith with 5 minutes left. But these other 2 games were just really, really poor defensive performances. And now they've seen these guys and they got a lot of adjusting to do. I hope they have enough energy to go out and have a full practice tomorrow because they sure in the heck need one.
Yeah, Bruce, your fear heading into these playoffs against the Avs was the Oilers have never faced a fully healthy Avs team. They did
Hmm.
tonight, and man, the Avs were good. They
Hmm.
were great in the first period. They just dominated the game. The Oilers were
Hmm.
lucky that it was like to have the score 2-2 when it
Hmm.
was just dumb luck for the Oilers. They deserved to be down 3-1, if
Hmm.
that. And man, I mean, Landeskog did such a great job, McKinnon and Landeskog, of covering McDavid
Hmm.
until Landeskog took that penalty in the third. I mean,
Right.
stupid penalty, but he was great. So was McKinnon. They were really stymieing the Oilers' top line. They couldn't get anything going for the longest time, especially at even strength. So this is a very, very good Avs team. But I have to say, Bruce, thank you for that number. It really cheered me up when you said it. It put a smile on my face. And it honestly did. Like, it really made me happy all of a sudden.
I got him right where we want him.
I'm down about being sick. I'm down about the game, but that
Yeah,
made me
yeah.
happy. So thank you. I
Hmm.
appreciate that. Um, I don't have such a cheery number. My number is 733.
Hmm.
That is Yesa Puljujärvi's time on ice.
Oh boy.
So yes, is in the doghouse, obviously. And I have to say, um, do I get it? I kind of get it. I kind of get it. The first goal against Bouchard turns it over, and but it's still he turns it over in the offensive end, and then in the neutral zone again, he loses battles in both places, I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah.
But it still would have been a 2-on-2. But on the back check, yes, he was a little slow. He just didn't get going. He didn't pump his feet. He kind of cruised back because it looked like Bouchard's going to make the play probably. So
Mm-hmm.
he's not anticipating the worst eventuality, but you have to, right? You got to be on your horse. You got to get back. So he's slow on the back check, and then it's a 2-on-1, and Keith allows the pass across, and it's a goal. So now to pick on him though, just for that,
Yeah.
just
Wow.
talk
In this
about
game.
lots of players in this game. Come on, like Darnell Nurse would have been stapled to the bench after the first period by
Yeah.
that standard, and the Oilers would have been better off for it. Play Chris Russell. Excuse me. Anyway, Pulley he's having his standard play on the offensive end is to maybe win the puck on the offensive boards and then shoot it right around the boards to the other side. I've seen it so many times, Bruce, where he makes that play. And I guess it's now a force of habit. I'm playing with McDavid. Maybe that's a good play because McDavid's going to be over there to get it. And you want that to happen. But he's got to be more assertive. He's got to, now there may be some physical thing with him, but he's got to make up his mind. And I say this again and again with the younger players because I see it again and again with the younger players. Make up your mind that if you're going to fail, at least you're going to fail going all out. You're
Mm-hmm.
going to fail taking a chance on the attack, holding the puck, trying to make a play, taking it to the net, trying to make something happen. And so I'm seeing a great deal of caution and lack of confidence in Jesse Puljujärvi's game. So he's got to get to that point of desperation where he thinks, okay, coach is clearly mad at me. I'm not playing that much. I'm not playing that well, if he's completely honest with himself. And I'm going to go for it. So I hope he does because he's got more to give in these playoffs. He scored at least one really nice goal. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm not down on him. I just think he lacks confidence right now, and I do understand why he's not getting that much time.
Well, I will run this by you though. I mean, this is bottom six. This is the minutes for the six guys in the bottom six tonight. Ryan 10:01, 9:14 at evens. Puljujärvi 7:33. That's the low. Archibald 8:53, all at evens. Fogel 8:47. Fogel actually had a pretty good game. 8:47, all at evens. Uh, Cassian 8:38, all at evens, and McLeod 11:56, of which 10:59 was at evens. So only McLeod played 10 minutes of even strength time in this game, of the six of them. So because again score effects, they were running out their big guys, and I mean McDavid played 24, Nugent Hopkins played 20, Kane 21, Draisaitl 23, Hyman 20. I mean that's the big five, and they were all at 20, and the other forwards were at 10. And who's the other guy? Yamamoto was at basically 17 minutes. So it really was a sort of a 20 to 10 split. But of those, Puljujärvi got slightly the least, but you just expect a little more out of him than you got in this game. So
Yeah, that's a good point you make, Bruce. Like it's obviously a systemic thing. The low ice, like the particularly low ice time. There's a lot of the bottom line players who had that.
mhm.
I don't know if that was a mistake by the coach and not trusting these players a little bit more and
Oh,
see what happens. But certainly the Cassian line had it going on. They
right.
might have given
Well,
them a bit more ice.
times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Fogel was good. This was Fogel's best game of the playoffs. So
Fogel played 8:47, during which he had 8 shot attempts. Only one was on goal, but that created a rebound and a goal and an assist for him, and 6 hits. 8 shot attempts and 6 hits in 8 minutes. That's a
yeah,
lot of crooked numbers.
yeah, I didn't
So
mind McLeod, Fogel, and Puljujärvi. Like put them out there more. Like I'm not
mhm.
necessarily agreeing with the coach, but I do think there's a reason for it too. These not trusting Yessa.
And David, I'm going to give you a second set of numbers because I don't think we ever mentioned this tonight. Grade A scoring chances for and
Oh,
against in this
yeah,
game
okay.
are off the charts high
Highest of the year, I'm pretty
for
sure.
both teams. Yeah,
Highest total grade A shots in
yeah,
a game.
yeah. I'm sure that's true.
Yeah. Go ahead. What are they, Bruce?
Oh, okay. We're still sort of discussing one or two as to
Yeah.
the Makar, was it an A or a B shot? Was it screen? Did it deflect off a nurse? There certainly was mistakes made on it. Even B chances are led by defensive errors at times. Anyway, Oilers had 20, which is a hell of a lot. Colorado had 24. 24 grade A shots. 24 grade A shots. And in the five alarm category, it was actually Edmonton with 15, Colorado with just 12. But I bet you if you look at that up to the time Colorado built the 7-3 lead, and then from then till the end of the game, it was mostly Edmonton down the stretch. But geez, when your document goes down to cell number 50, row number 50, that's
And I
that's a
was hoping
lot.
for an easy night. I
Grade
was
A
hoping for
shot.
an easy night.
Oh,
I
it
was
was
just working
anything
hard
but
all night long. It was like the
anything
value,
but.
like replay after replay after replay. God, it was a lot of work. Anyway, I shouldn't complain. It's fun work. It's good work. Hockey geek work. Um, yeah, we haven't seen that many grade A shots, I'm sure, in a game this year. We've seen teams get 20 or more grade A shots, but not both teams. I'm pretty sure about
Yeah,
the
that's
5 shots. So the expected goals, like based on, we have like an average grade A shot goes in about 25% of the time, and an average 5 alarm shot, it's about 33%. So I think our expected goals was 7-6 Avs, which
mm-hmm.
which mimicked the score of the empty net goal. So it
Yeah.
wasn't
Well,
necessarily the goaltending in this one, Bruce. It was the defense. The defensive play sucked on both sides of the.
yeah. No, I mean Colorado wasn't exactly great at it. So I'm just going to quickly look up what expected goals were according to Natural Stat Trick and see how they parse this thing. And in all situations.
And Kane, he came close, so close to tying that game, Bruce, with 49 seconds left on
Mm-hmm.
the rebound off Draisaitl's
Off
slot
dry
shot.
cells died. Yeah.
I mean, Kane has got such great hands. I think, yeah, Kane. Every teenage girl in Edmonton has a crush on Evander Kane.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Well, he scored a nice goal earlier, and then I thought he didn't have that great of a game thereafter, but
yeah,
he does make stuff happen even when he's sort of struggling through. I mean, he had 7 shot attempts and 5 hits. 2 of the shots on net. Thought some of his defensive execution wasn't great. Anyway, Natural Stat Trick had us basically 4.5 expected goals for the Avs and 4.1 for the Oilers. So lower than frankly I expected off of what I saw. But they had high danger chances at 19 to 18 for Colorado, and this is all situations. So
yeah. They're less
face
able
off,
to
you know.
they're
Mm-hmm.
less able to ascertain 5 alarm shots than we are. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
suggest, because
Yeah.
we can see the context of the shot. Like we
Yeah.
can see if it's a cross seam pass
Mm-hmm.
followed by a harpoon of a shot, like a one timer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they would just, that's for them. That's just a shot from a certain distance,
Right.
and it's the same as any other shot. But we know if it's a one time, this is a 5 alarm shot, so
Yeah.
it ups. So one other number, Bruce, Evan Bouchard, 6 major mistakes on grade A shots against an even strength. So it wasn't
Yeah.
just Norris's struggle there. Evan Bouchard had
How about Keith?
two. All the other defensemen were okay.
Yeah,
Two,
okay.
two, 1, 2.
I guess what stands out to me is Keith getting burned on the pass on the 1-1, but more egregiously by far on what turned out to be the game-winning goal by Andrew Cogliano in his first playoff game against the Oilers since he scored the game-tying goal in Game 7 when he was with Anaheim in 2017.
Uh-huh.
Former Oiler kills Oilers headline. Uh, was the play where Keith, just for no apparent reason, just sort of coasted into the offensive zone when there was sort of a 50-50 puck. And when the puck came out, all of a sudden it's a 2-on-1, and Colorado is basically fourth line Logan O'Connor to Andrew Cogliano for an easy finish. And I think the pass probably went through Bouchard, as I recall.
It
Uh,
did.
yeah, I mean, Keith's partner. So it was kind of the first goal in reverse where Bouchard made the mistake and then Keith got beat on the pass. Well, this time Keith, I'm not quite sure why he was where he was because there was nothing sort of dangerous. He didn't, there was no offensive opportunity there, and he just kind of abandoned the point. And it was like a bad pinch, except for he didn't pinch. He never made any play at all. He just took himself out of position. I
Well,
hated
I
it.
I think he thought if Cassian wins the puck, I'm in the middle of the ice, I have a better chance to score.
Yeah.
Does
Hmm.
Cassian make that pass? But who says like it's a battle on the boards?
Yeah.
So that's why he went to this more to the middle of the ice.
Hmm.
But that meant that he was just way out of position. It was bizarre. So I agree, Bruce. Like that was not good. So the two mistakes that he did make were both on goal. So that's why he
Yeah.
stands out among them.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, Bruce, let's leave it there and hope for better things next game.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what we hoped for after game one in Calgary, and that's what we got with four
Yeah.
straight Edmonton wins. At that night, we were saying, and I'm going to say it again because it's still true, you're never going to probably get another 6 goal game in the entire series, and it hurts like hell to score six and still find a way not to win the game. But against Calgary, they bounced back with 5, 4, 5, and 5 goals in the next 4 games, and in those games, it was enough to win. So certainly the hope here is that coaching staff led by Jay Woodcroft will find ways to clean up the defensive stuff, and they'll carry on with the offense. And the Oilers' offense is still a fearsome, pretty fearsome thing. I heard Travis Yost, TSN, no big fan of the Oilers today, but he was basically raving about how their offense has been close to unstoppable in the playoffs. I mean, now they're up to 58 goals in the playoffs, and they're pouring them in. And if you can just clean up the defense a bit, the scoring's there. So, but it needs to be there next game. They need to figure this out fast. You don't want to come home down 2-0.
So we'll see what happens if
Mhm.
Kemper's hurt. I
Yeah.
wonder if they just took him out for precautionary reasons. That's what
Something
I'm guessing.
happened. And Francouz actually wasn't bad. I thought he made some good stops. But
Yeah, neither Kemper or Francouz. Is it Francouz or Francouz?
he said
Neither of them.
Francouz, so I assume they must
Neither of them
know.
have been very good in the playoffs. They both have save percentages under 900. So
Mhm. Well,
maybe it doesn't matter. This is one hell of a
keep it that way.
great attacking team, though.
Hmm.
They really are. That Nikushkin's a beast. He has become a very good hockey player.
Oh yeah, he's real
And
good.
Devon Taves is a really good defenseman.
Fantastic player.
Yeah.
And Devon Taves. He had 2 assists plus 3 tonight. It was his great pass to McKinnon that led to the breakaway goal that made it 2-1. And plus 3 for that guy. And that is an outscoring, very elite defensive pairing, Taves and McCarr. Each guy averaged over 25 minutes this year, and each guy scored 55 plus points.
Yeah.
Both
I,
guys are pairing. You don't see that every year.
this defensive unit isn't the Calgary Flames defensive unit, Bruce. Like, even though they let in all those goals,
Hmm.
these guys, they can really make plays with the puck.
Yeah.
They've got like 3 or 4 defensemen better than any defenseman on the Flames.
Mhm.
So see what happens. Thanks for talking tonight, Bruce.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.